On a Midwest College football podcast, joined by Clinton Boring and a conglomerate of other fine individuals this evening. My name is Ryan Satkoviak. It is Clinton, the week we've all been waiting for. It is week 5 of the college football season. I think this is one that not just in the Big Ten, but I think the entire nation of college football fans has had this weekend circled since the schedules came out 9 months ago, 10 months ago, whenever it happened. We have some bangers this weekend, highlighted by the whiteout game this weekend. Oregon at Penn State. To help us break the game down, two kind gentlemen who have been on the show numerous times are back to help us break it down. We have Matt Flip from the Roar Lions Roar podcast and Dale Bliss from Autzen Zoo joining us to talk this game tonight. Gentlemen, whoever wants to go first can go first. How are we all doing this evening? Not everyone at
Wonderful.
once.
Well, I'm doing wonderful. Since I'm the visiting team, I guess I should go first, right?
Yeah, right. You call the coin toss there, Dale. Matt, sir, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, fellas. A banger week of college football last week, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be another fun Saturday coming up. This was definitely the week I think everybody was looking forward to, not just Big Ten fans. I think nationally, there's some good ones all week long.
Yeah, the multi-view was created for a day like this in literally every window because there's 2 to 3 games that are going to be must-see TV. Clinton, sir, what's your vibe? How are you?
Vibing is great tonight, man. We got Matt, we got Dale, I guess we got Ryan, and we got me on the show. So it's a fantastic four. To quote some little Marvel there, I'm stoked for this game on Saturday, man. I'm excited for Ohio State, Washington. I think we finally get to see something with Ohio State clash with the Huskies. You had the Oregon one last year, but I would be remiss to not say that I might be just a little more hyped for the Oregon Penn State game over my own team. Part of it is I'm excited for Oregon to feel what the whiteout feels like. I know Washington had to do it last year, but it was on Peacock. This is legit whiteout on national TV. Let's do it. And I'm excited to see what Penn State does when they come out with this. Can they start fast? Will they start slow? Can Drew Aller hit the big passes? Like, there's so much in this game and so much rides on it for these teams. Both of them got to face the gauntlet of Indiana in the near future, so they have to be ready for that one. So it's an exciting matchup. Can't wait to talk about it with these guys. Mr. Ryan, how are you this evening?
Clinton, I'm fantastic because David Montgomery scored a touchdown. I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. I'm riding cloud nine. Everything that is bad that has happened this week, which has been nothing to be clear, but it's all forgiven now. I'm fired up to be here. This is, we are firmly in conference play. We're finally going to get some answers. We got some answers last weekend. We figured out that either Indiana is a wagon that needs to be reckoned with, or Illinois was fraudulent, or maybe a little bit of both. But that's kind of a nice segue into talking about this game because it's two teams that, depending on how you feel about FIU and Oklahoma State, whatever's left of their burnt crisp of a program, Northwestern, we haven't really seen a lot from these two teams against, we'll call it worthy competition. Both teams have looked good for large stretches, but again, against teams you should look good against. So, God, there's so much known and unknown at the same time. How is everyone going to handle the pressure? Not just Oregon heading to the whiteout, but how is Penn State going to handle a game where, you can make an argument that there's more pressure on them than Oregon in this game? Maybe Oregon's playing with a little bit of house money because of the run they went on last year. The reloading that they did on offense, maybe there wasn't as much of a playoff or bust expectation. Although when you can argue when you're Oregon with Dan Lanning and the backing he has from the university, that maybe every year should be playoff or bust. But the amount that Penn State has invested in this roster, I mean, it's kind of put up or shut up time. And Matt, I think we should start with you on this. What's your vibe? What are you thinking kind of heading into this game in terms of what you expect, what you've kind of gathered from the fan base, what they expect heading into this?
Shockingly, with Penn State playing a big game, everybody's terrified. Is kind of the general vibe. No one feels good. No one feels confident. One thing I want to share off the top because I think it's always cool to think about where coaches come from. This is a matchup between two guys who play D2 ball, and to see two D2 ball players work their way up the rankings to lead, top 10 programs is really cool. Like, I think those D2 and D3 guys and fullbacks also at any level are just wired differently. Like, you've got to love ball to play D2, D3 ball or be a fullback. So I think all those guys are wired insanely differently. And I think Dan Lanning is like a top 3 coach in America. Like, I'm such a massive Dan Lanning fan. Like, I'll just get it out of. I think he is fantastic. And like, if at his age, if you told me today I could restart a program, from square one, Lanning might be pick 101 for me. Like, I think he's that good of a coach. I think the world of Dan Lanning. All the niceties out of the way. I do think it's a very anxious feeling all around Happy Valley, simply because, yes, they made the playoff last year. Yes, they won 2 games. But truly, where is that big signature win? Big Game James has been a moniker that he's had to wear since like 2018. And I would argue this Oregon team coming in is the best whiteout opponent probably since that 2018 Penn State-Ohio State game. Like, the whiteout has really kind of fallen to the wayside by nature of the new Big Ten media rights deal. So there is a ton of energy around Penn State. I think this is going to be maybe the loudest Beaver Stadium's ever been. I think part of that is the temporary seating kind of makes it a little bit harder are going to make it easier to maintain that sound. But I think it's an interesting mix of a ton of excitement, game day being there, the first big-time whiteout opponent this decade, unless you want to count Brian Harson's Auburn, which you shouldn't. But then there's also just the natural nervousness that comes with this Penn State team in this era and playing a big game. So it's just it's an interesting feeling right now. It is a excited unease is how I would describe the feeling.
Ryan, you're muted, buddy.
Oops, sorry. That's on me. Dale, same question to you, man. What's the thought with Oregon right now? Because I think, we talked preseason. There were some questions that we had about this offense and how would it all mesh together. And it's really felt like each of the games that they've played that they could kind of just name their score. And they've been completely nonplussed moving the football. They're just doing it with ease. Dante Moore looks fantastic. Everyone on offense looks fantastic. You can't even point to just one guy because it just seems like they're throwing a conglomerate of receivers and running backs out there who are making plays. But now you face what is arguably one of the best defenses in the nation, and they're going to have not only from a challenge standpoint from the defense, but also the environment standpoint that they're going to have to deal with in this game as well.
Urban Meyer said that environment is worth 10 points. Now, as with anything Urban Meyer says about college football, part of his intention is to reflect back on his own glory. But there is some truth in it. It's worth a lot more than a normal home field advantage. I have watched the video of the Auburn whiteout. That's the last one that was, I can remember that was a night game and a name opponent and, had some of the elements of a great whiteout. And it's almost hypnotic. It's mesmerizing the way that energy builds and the whole stadium chanting and the linemen straining at the gate like bulls trying to get out of the chute, and just the whole scene. It's kind of sends chills up your spine, makes the hair on your arm stand up, and obviously the Ducks will do a lot of work this week to mentally prepare themselves for that scene. I think one of Lanning's great strengths as a coach is that he does a really good job of giving his team a theme each week, having a psychological strategy for every opponent and every environment. But this thing is, I don't even know if you can really prepare for it. It's just an overwhelming wall of sound. As far as the mood of Duck fans, I think they're weirdly overconfident. When I check around social media and so forth, I see a lot of really bold predictions about how they're going to score and so forth. But when I look at the game, I look at that Penn State defense averaging 5.7 points a game and 3.6 yards per play, and I don't care who the opponents are, those numbers are terrifying. And when you start to look at the players they have in that front seven, it's going to be a load. It's going to be a challenge to move them in an environment where you can't audible and can't communicate at the line of scrimmage.
And Matt, I'll flip it back over to you. The last time Jim Knowles faced this Oregon offense, it did not go well for the Ducks. However, we can be confident with this defense. I think we know what we're going to get. Let's flip it to the other side. I don't know necessarily how to describe this offense, and you kind of said the same thing when I sent you on Saturday about joining us. Ryan and I have been harping on this slow start after slow start after slow start, and it just doesn't feel like, I know the environment's on their side, but the clip at which Oregon can score at, you do not want to start slow in this game. What the heck's going on, man? What is going on with this team?
The Penn State offense very much took these first 3 games aren't the real season. This is the preseason kind of approach. I think I fundamentally do not believe any coach hides things, especially over the course of 3 weeks. Like, your offense is what it is. College football in the regular season is an incredibly small sample size. Just 12 games. Like, after game 3, you kind of are what you are. Like, you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be. And for Penn State to figure out what it's going to be, it did impossibly too much in every game. They came out that first game against Nevada, and I was over the moon because a receiver caught a pass, and I hadn't seen that since New Year's Eve against Boise State. And they made a really conscious effort to get these new transfer receivers involved and build up some chemistry with Drew Aller. They come out against FIU. They try to build on that. It doesn't really work well. They look incredibly disjointed. It was a very sleepy environment. But still, for a team that returns a quarterback people think has first-round potential, 2 outstanding running backs, and 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, you would have hoped they could kind of do whatever, and similar to what Oregon did, name their score, and they can go out there and they can do that. And they failed to do it. And then against Villanova, they kind of evened themselves back out. They made a massive emphasis to get Nick Singleton out of the funk he's in, because he has not looked good to start the year. Katron Allen's looked fantastic, but Singleton has looked like he is playing like he's being coached as opposed to playing like he wants to win. Like, he is just thinking way too much, which is not something you want to see a senior running back who's been around for forever. Like, it's not like it's his first year starting. He came in back in 2022 and broke out almost immediately. So I think the offense is better than what it's shown. And I think they've really done a good job of taking the non-conference, the preseason, as we'll call it, to figure out what they're good at and what they're bad at. And the one, I think, saving grace for Penn State fans, their 2-minute offense has been outstanding. And what do you do in the 2-minute offense? You shrink the playbook and you run what you're good at. And that's been money the entire way. Obviously, you can't build the whole plane out of your 2-minute playbook, but you know that gear is in there. And when they are comfortable and doing things they know they're good at, I think they can move the ball at a consistent clip, simply because I think the offensive line is fantastic. And I think they can get some great push. And they're going to need it against an Oregon defense that I think, Dan Lanning defense, they're always going to be tough. They're always going to be aggressive. But overall, I think the offense is leaving a lot to be desired. But I don't think they've held anything back.
Dale, how do you feel that front 7 of the Ducks matches up against this Penn State offensive line? It feels like a very strength-on-strength matchup. And, I mean, they have certainly more than held their own to start the season.
Well, their 3 FBS opponents were a combined 0-11. So holding your own, I don't think really proves as much as I want it to. When I look at that matchup, I'm a little terrified because I look at, Nick Dawkins and Vega Ione and the rest of that offensive line. They can move people, and you've got 2,000-yard running backs. And I know that Singleton has struggled a little early, but, the 2 of them, the Penn State rushing attack against Oregon in the Big Ten championship rush for 297 yards, I think it was. I mean, that's insane. That's horrifying. And I think they have the capability of running the football against the Ducks, and Oregon will have to make some significant adjustments in both their effort and their scheme to stop Penn State the way they did Oregon State.
And then Dale, thinking about, let's flip it around. Oregon brings in Decorian Moore. He's not a freshman. He's really in his not his first true time starting, but getting his first full season under center here with Oregon. You've got a stud young freshman wide receiver that's kind of leading the group. We've got kind of a mixed bag in the Oregon running back room that I don't think anyone was foreshadowing when Mekhi Hughes wasn't the leader of this room. How confident do the Ducks, or should the Ducks be heading into this game with these players on offense? Also, then thinking the last time they saw a Jim Knowles defense, I know it's different players, but it did not go well for them.
Admittedly, it went about as horribly as a game could. Jim Knowles' defense produced 8 sacks in that Rose Bowl game. And I honestly think the Penn State defense kind of has sort of a 1-to-1 correspondence to what we saw from Ohio State. Maybe not, I don't know. But if you look at Denai Dennis Sutton and Chaz Coleman and those 3 linebackers, Rojas, and Dominic DeLuca and Amari Campbell, that's a lot of pass rushing capability. They have 29 tackles for loss this season. So Oregon's got tons of skill players, a lot of talent, a lot of speed, but unless they get it done up front, unless they can protect the passer and move the ball on the ground a little bit, it could be another one of those long nights. Knowles definitely knows how to stop their scheme. I'm sure that Will Stein is absolutely determined to have a better showing against them this time around.
Matt, talking about the skill position for Penn State to kind of flip that to the other side of the field, what's been kind of the returns and the seeming comfort level that Drew Allers had with his 2 new receivers? Well, I guess 3 new receivers if we're going to throw Devontae Ross in there. He hit the big play. I think it was against FIU, but one thing, I mean, I tried to stay on top of both of these games, but it seems like just 2 that, they're getting them involved a little bit more, but it still does seem like they're coming back to the tight end a little more than I thought they would.
Not surprised on that front. On the Devontae Ross front, he was dinged up for much of the summer and a good bit of fall camp. So I think easing him in kind of was the plan. And then all of a sudden he comes out against FIU and makes that big catch. And everyone's like, oh, great, there he is all of a sudden. But yeah, you're right. It definitely is the 2-man show at the tight end specifically. But I'll touch on the transfer receivers to start. In terms of chemistry, I mean, look, I said it when I talked to you guys in the preseason. It was hard to have worse chemistry than 0 catches against Notre Dame. So no matter what they came in with, it was going to be a step up. I wasn't really worried about that. And listen, none of those 3 guys are going to be day 1 picks in the NFL draft. None of them are probably day 2 picks in the NFL draft. But I'll be damned if they don't know the playbook. And I'll be damned if they don't understand what their roles are at a high level. The Penn State receiver room has really just become 4 guys, the 3 transfers, and then Liam Clifford kind of just running cardio a lot of the time, to be honest with you. But Kyron Hudson has become a fantastic contested catch guy. He and Aller, I think, work very well together and both understand what's needed. Devontae Ross, they want to make the deep play threat. I'll be honest, I can't really get a read on it until I see more of him. And then Trevor Pena has been there. I don't want to call him Tyler Warren because Tyler Warren is a whole other level for everybody, but they're going to try to get Trevor Pena the ball in a lot of different ways. They run jet sweeps with him. They're going to swing passes out to him. He's going to run deep routes. He's going to run quick outs. He's kind of been the guy that they want to go to consistently in a bunch of different ways. And then these tight ends, I'm not surprised that Luke Reynolds specifically has really emerged as one of the better tight ends in the Big Ten already. Khalil Jenkins gets to the start. He's mainly a blocker. Like, it's kind of quickly become Luke Reynolds, who, funny enough, has the long blonde hair like Tyler Warren, has now become like the next Penn State tight end. Aller is still terrified to throw it over the middle, which really frustrates me because I do think that's where Reynolds can kind of make a killing, and we'll see what comes out of it. But yeah, the tight end is still, unsurprisingly, a massive part of the Penn State passing attack. But the receivers, like, while none of them, again, are going to get all Big Ten caliber honors, maybe Pena might. They're all doing what's asked of them, and after the last 2 years, that's a massive upgrade.
And we can't leave out. We've talked offense, defense. What about special teams? So, Matt, we'll go back to you on this one. Penn State, at least in the first few games, seems like they've got a pretty stable kicker there. How confident are we that, well, not only just the kicking game, but the other concepts of punt, the return game for Penn State that could maybe be a game-changing factor in this matchup on Saturday?
Ryan Barker's been money. Like, he's been really good for them. And, since really he overtook Sanders Zahadak last year, he's been really good for Penn State. Kicked a game-winning field goal in overtime against USC. Clutch kid. He's a lefty. He's hit from, I want to say, as far out as like 45 this year. He had one attempt from over 50, but it was blocked. So he's still perfect on the year. Punter, they have a 6'6", 300-pound punter, which is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It reminds me, is that like the Joey Julius days?
Well, Joey Julius was maybe 5'11". Gabe Wosu is, I'm not kidding. His listed height and weight is 6'6", 297 pounds.
Holy!
And he's been on the route. He's a fifth-year senior. He was the primary kickoff guy for a long time, and he won the punting job this year. And he's been really, really fantastic. It looks absurd. Like, it looks like he also wears number 99, so he looks like a defensive tackle running out there to punt. So if you're going to be amused by one thing, it's when he comes out there for kickoffs, on kickoff specialist work, and then on punting as well. And the return game for Penn State's finally kind of taken a step forward. They had wide receivers do it for a long time, but you guys I can guess, know my thoughts on the Penn State wide receiver in the last couple of years. So they've shifted it up a little bit now, and especially in the kick return game. King Mack, a boomerang transfer back from Alabama, had a nice return against Nevada. Listen, special teams is always going to be a big part of the Penn State story. James Franklin's biggest win of his career came as the result of a big-time special teams play. And I do have to imagine that they're going to look for advantages on the margins. But I will mention, Oregon's special teams coordinator is the old Penn State special teams coordinator. So there is some familiarity there with how James Franklin likes to run his unit. But overall, if they're going to find an advantage, it's probably in the punter, which is objectively hilarious because not only does he boot the ball really well on long punts, but he's pinned a couple of guys with some pretty pinpoint accuracy as well. So that's the big special teams stories for Penn State.
Listen, Matt, when you come on the show, man, you don't have to shove the knife even deeper and twist it on me for James Franklin's biggest win ever.
It's still a knife after 8 years.
Listen, man, that PlayStation remote is still feeling it after I threw it across the room. That was pretty ugly for me. Well, that wasn't one of the first games Leah had watched with me, but she might have questioned her choice at that point for my sanity. Dale, let's flip that same question over to you. Oregon, their confidence in kicker, punter, just the entire special teams unit. When you're in a big environment like this, if they get a massive punt return or kick return, it could help silence the crowd a little bit.
It could. The special team's been really good for Oregon thus far this year. Again, given the competition, they blocked 2 punts. Their punter, James Ferguson Reynolds, who they stole from Boise State, has had kicks down at the 10, the 9, and the 4, and he had a 51-yard kick. And he, how the rugby style punter will roll out to the right, and he decided to just keep going. Nobody checked him, so he just kept running and ran 38 yards up the sideline in the third quarter against Oregon State, gave the team a big lift. Atticus Sappington has hit every one of his field goals except one from, I think it was 55 yards or so, and that was wide right. So he's been very solid. They look good in all phases. They've stopped a lot of returns short of the 20. One thing about the Oregon special teams is they've kind of gone back to the future in special teams play. It used to be a point of pride where guys would make their bones, and they've sort of gone back to that. And you have a lot of full-time contributors and 4- and 5-star players who are playing special teams and excelling in special teams. Jaden Lamar plays on 3 or 4 of them, and he's, their leading running back. So that's good to see. I think teams that prioritize special teams and make it a point of recognition or something to take pride in always make more big special teams plays.
I want to go, Matt. We've talked a lot about the Penn State offense, but talking about the defense and how it matches up against this Oregon offense, I think the one thing kind of following along with Oregon this year that has kind of stood out to me, and we kind of mentioned it up top, is there's just not one guy that you can key on, which could be good, could be bad. Maybe they don't have that defined number one go-to guy yet, but also it makes it a lot harder to try to figure out who you're going to stop or where they're going to go with the ball on any given play. How do you think Penn State is going to go about trying to attack that challenge, and what are some kind of keys that you're looking for from the defense in this game?
Yeah, I think Dante Moore has been fantastic. Like I'm impressed with him. I don't think the whiteout's really going to phase him. And that's, listen, obviously I don't know the kid, but for a former 5-star to go from a starting job in a power conference to give that up to go sit behind Dylan Gabriel at Oregon kind of tells me that's a kid who's very self-aware, very mature, understands what his, realistic trajectory is. And I think it did wonders for his career by doing that. And I think he's going to do a great job against this crowd. DeCorian Moore, I think, is a stud. Is it Sadiq, the tight end? I think he's fantastic. I think he's terrific. And if I'm not mistaken, the Oregon offensive line hasn't given up a single sack this year. Again, consider the opponent, but just one? Okay. Thanks, Dale. Good call. The Penn State defense, if they were going to give up, let's say, 21 points in any of these first 3 games, it wasn't going to be opponent-based. It was going to be because Jim Knowles' scheme is too big for them. Like, that seems pretty odd. Clinton, I'm sure you would agree with that. The Jim Knowles defense famously takes a little bit to put in. Like, it takes a while for them to get, everything down. Penn State did a really good job of figuring that out. Like, really, they've only given up, I want to say, maybe 1 touchdown with the starters actually in. Like, that's a pretty good clip to be at. So they understand the defense really well. And if they're going to be able to slow down this Oregon offense, you can't let them gain 6 yards on first down. You can't let them gain 7 yards, 8 yards on first down. You got to get them behind the sticks, however you can pull it off. The Penn State pass rush has been really good. I am a little bit nervous that arguably their best pass rusher right now is a true freshman in Chad Coleman, who has looked fantastic, but he's also he was a 3-star, so he doesn't have those, that acclaim that you would expect an instant impact freshman to have. He wasn't here for spring ball, so he didn't have all that install time. So I'm sure there's still elements of the game he's still trying to figure out. So if Penn State is going to be able to slow down that Oregon passing attack, I think their secondary is really good. I think A.J. Harris has been non-existent to a lot of fans this year because nobody's thrown at him, which is always a good place to be. Mm-hmm. But that's going to change. Oregon's going to spread the ball around to all 3 of those outstanding receivers and then as a tight end. And their running backs are going to be involved in the passing game as well. So after watching the way Oregon spread the Penn State defense out and made them cover the entire width of the field last time with those quick outs, Penn State needs to do a good job either batting balls down or making tackles at or near the line of scrimmage when the opportunity presents itself, and then letting the pass rushers tee off in late down situations. Because otherwise, I think it might look pretty similar to what it looked like in the Big Ten game where Dylan Gabriel read the Penn State defense like a book and just picked them apart 8 yards at a time. That was an incredibly impressive performance. And I think a lot of fans, especially in Clemson, understand why Penn State fans aren't exactly sad Tom Allen is gone now. And I'm excited to see how Jim Knowles answers that bell and just to see how different it looks slowing down this offense under Knowles compared to what it looked like with Tom Allen.
Totally dig the Clemson dig there. Love it. Even though they were my national champion pick. That was horrible.
Yeah, that's not great, Bob. Dale, kind of same question to you. With this Wilstein offense that did have a lot of success the last time that they played Penn State, but again, new defensive coordinator, how do you anticipate that they're going to go about kind of formulating a game plan, knowing, too, that, checking at the line of scrimmage might be a little bit difficult if nobody can hear the quarterback trying to make the check?
No, it presents some unique problems when it's that loud. And Dante Moore, Matt is absolutely right. He has a world of talent, and he's looked really good so far, and he's been fun to watch. But he doesn't have 62 college starts. Dylan Gabriel controlled that game in the Big Ten championship game because he made the checks, he made the checkdowns, he made great decisions, he took what the defense was giving him. Dante Moore does not have that wealth of experience. He did make an incredibly mature decision to take a year of apprenticeship and kind of get a reset in his career, and it's paid enormous dividends for him. He made some back shoulder throws last weekend that were unbelievable. I mean, the ball just right where it needed to be. This week he's going against a much better secondary in Zach. Is it King Mack? That's it. King Mack and AJ Harris. I mean, Harris got a 40-inch vertical and a 4.53 40. He can run with the Corey and Moore, and I think that's the matchup we'll see. Penn State likes to play a lot of man-to-man defense with a single high safety, and I think that's the way they'll match up. It'll be interesting because over the first 4 games, they've thrown to a lot of people. 10 receivers, 10 running backs carrying the ball, and rotations are going to tighten up. And you're going to see both of these teams go to their playmakers a little more and not be as clever or cute or multiple. They're going to try and do what they do best. And we'll see how that works out against a really strong defense.
So I want to kind of phrase, not like a keys to the game type of thing, but Matt, let's start with you. 3 things you're looking for in this. If we kind of start the phrase, Penn State wins this game if. 3 things you're looking at to make that come to fruition.
Okay. If Penn State's receivers make timely catches, I'm not looking for big plays. I don't think there's any receiver in this room that's, man-to-man coverage, 40 yards down the field, they're going to be able to outrun those Oregon DBs. But if, let's say it's 3rd and 4, and Penn State's third down offense has been pretty bad this year. Like, we can kind of call it what it is. It has not been great. I do think part of that is because I think they've made it very clear Drew Aller is not allowed to run the football or keep the football and take any hits. And I do think that's going to change this next week. So if they have receivers make timely catches, I think is going to be a massive part of this game. Again, you're not going to be able to do anything of value unless you have threats outside. Spread that Oregon defense out. Let Katron Allen and Nick Singleton find running lanes and do their thing. And then if they finally want to start throwing over the middle again, maybe you can find a Reynolds, a Dinkins, or a Rapelier over the middle, which I do think they're going to try to do. So I think that would be my first key. Do you want all 3 right off the bat?
100%.
Okay, I got you. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Penn State running game as a key to this game. Penn State running backs, especially Katron Allen, have played in a lot of big games, and Katron Allen specifically has delivered in big games. Katron was fantastic in the Big Ten title game against Oregon last year. He was patient. He was smart. He's a bruising runner. He's looked the best he's ever looked. And the feedback coming out of last season was this was the first off season he's going into actually feeling healthy, and he's really parlayed that into taking a next step. So the running backs need to be efficient and rip off a big play of, I'll call it, at least 15 yards for each of them to show that that big play ability is still in there. And then defensively, they need a turnover. The whiteout goes absolutely insane for turnover specifically. I will say, I think the loudest I've ever heard the stadium was the 2017 whiteout when Saquon Barkley took the second play, 67 yards for a touchdown. The next loudest was the next defensive series after that, when Penn State wanted to go out there and force a turnover. So if Penn State's able to get in Dante Moore's head a little bit with a turnover or two, I think maybe we could see a potential cascade of mistakes being made, not just by Moore, but maybe you get an offensive guard to move a little early, get called for a 15-yard penalty. Maybe you get a receiver, get the yips a little bit and drop a pass. But they need to come out there and throw that first punch defensively, and it's probably going to be a turnover to get them there.
And then, Dale, same question for you. 3 keys we're looking at. Oregon wins this game if.
If Alex Harkey and Isaiah World, their 2 tackles, can block Coleman, Sutton, and Campbell on the outside. They've only given up 1 sack, but they've shown a little bit of vulnerability. Harkey tends to drop his back foot a little bit, and he's susceptible to a speed rush. World has good blocking grades, but he can sometimes be bull rushed right into the quarterback. And obviously that stuff shows up on film. Ducks are going to have to work to correct it. Penn State will try to exploit it. But that's a real point of vulnerability. The tackles have got to get the job done. Last year in the Big Ten championship game, uh, jo- Josh Connerly did a fantastic job on Abdul Carter. He was a number one draft pick and a great player, but he had a good game against him. They need World and Harkey to come up to that same standard, and that's big. The second thing kind of touches on what Matt was saying. It's always a question with a young quarterback in his first big environment that's really charged. Does he play with poise? Does he make good decisions? Does he take care of the football? One thing you always fear as a fan is for your team to go into a really hostile environment. And I remember Keanu Reeves in the Replacements. Gene Hackman asked, "What's the one thing that you fear most?" And he said, "You remember?" He said, "Quicksand." You don't want that sort of, like Matt was saying, that cascading set of panic, bad emotions, misfires, drops, uncharacteristic errors. You don't want that sort of thing to start happening because then the fans get on it and it becomes a frenzy. So that's the thing. Second thing, the Ducks have to avoid the quicksand. And the third thing is they have to do a decent job against Singleton and Allen, two of the best backs in the country.
That's the first Keanu Reeves reference on this podcast, so I'm very happy that we checked that box finally. It only took us a year and a half.
And it wasn't John Wick either.
Well, I was thinking that when I heard Keanu Reeves, I thought we were going to get a Matrix reference. So that was.
I thought we were
very
gonna get
nice of them.
Speed. What a filmography!
Oh,
We all
man.
thought a different movie.
That's
Nice.
insane. That's good for us. Good for us, guys. Listen, that man has range. Well, kind of wrapping up our discussion here tonight, gentlemen. We talked about keys. We've talked about kind of the matchups that we're looking for. What are gut feelings on how you think this game is going to play out? Doesn't need to be a score. If you want to give a score, that's fine. But where are your heads at? Where are your emotions at? Matt, let's start with you.
I do think this is an incredibly favorable matchup for Penn State. I think Penn State hired Jim Knowles and made him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the history of college football to, number one, help them get to the playoff. Number two, to help get rid of the big game James moniker. Like, that, I think, is the big reason Jim Knowles is in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania right now. With all that being said, and I really went through this on my own podcast earlier when we recorded our preview of this game, after the Notre Dame game, where Penn State, Ryan, you're a Notre Dame fan, I feel confident you would agree with me here. That first half, they whipped them up front.
Oh, yeah.
Penn State
100%.
was moving the ball incredibly well up front.
Yes.
And then they couldn't, I have no reason to explain why they didn't get the job done. They just couldn't figure it out. And routinely, in these kind of games, the Penn State leadership, brass, whatever you want to call it, can't seem to figure it out. And just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean that it won't. But I've been burned, I think, one too many times for me to feel confident that this team can make it. I think this is the best shot Penn State has had to get that big signature win in quite a long time. But with the offense playing the way it is, again, I think it's going to be better. But for a unit that returned all that, it had to have been better. I think this gets down to a slugfest. And I just, for the life of me, I everything in my head says to pick Penn State, but in my heart, I need to see them beat an opponent like this before I feel confident making a pick that they will. So I'm going to say Oregon 20, Penn State 16. I think it's a defensive slugfest. If you want to watch points be scored, go watch Alabama, Georgia at the same time. I think that one's going to have some offense.
No. Matt, if you want to watch points score, you watch the Notre Dame game that morning. The over-under is at 65, and they're going to go over that in the first half.
Who are they
Ryan, my
playing?
hat tip to you for the Purdue cover last week, my friend. I appreciate that.
I had Purdue. I had Purdue in the over. I'm like, they're not. I don't believe them. Anyway, I'm sidetracking this conversation.
But no, yeah, I need to see Penn State beat a big name opponent in a big time spot before I believe they can do it. I do think on paper, Penn State has the better team. I think that they are in a better spot with it being at home. I think the travel is a massive deal. I think you're seeing that all around. I still need to see it. So it's cowardice, call it what you will. I call it my scars being built. over the years, but I'm going to have the Ducks winning by 4 in Happy Valley.
Yeah, you've subscribed to my theory on big games with my team. It's like I just assume that they're going to lose because I'm not allowed to be happy and have nice things. So I respect
Well,
it.
I mean, if I could point to one through line for why Penn State has lost the big games over the years, like Clinton in the Ohio State game last year, they have it about the score going into halftime. Harrison Wallace in the end zone wide open. It bounces off his hands, and Davison Igbinosun, I have no idea how he caught that ball to this day. They get another chance to score. First and goal from like the half-yard line. The only thing I can offer is, hey, man, you just got to figure it out. You got to get in the end zone. That's my analysis of that. And they couldn't do it. They routinely are unable to do it. And until they do, I can't pick them.
Listen, if there's death, taxes, and Ohio State's goal line defense, that's all I can say.
So many. Dale, same question to you, sir. What is your gut feeling on this game?
Well, we all carry the scars of sports pain. And the Ducks definitely have some of that as well. Duck fans definitely do. I look at this matchup. Football is a game of matchups. And when I look at this matchup, I see edges for Penn State in the trenches. I think they have a better offensive line. I think they have a better defensive line. And I think they'll win 27-24.
We got a double reverse
Wow.
jinx. I love it.
I like it, boys. I like it.
My kind of people. This is why this podcast is the best.
I
We're
think
all
it's great,
like-minded
though, 'cause
individuals.
You have respect for the other team, right? I think that's what's fantastic. Because I think Dale, didn't you, when we had you on Ohio State, Oregon last year for the regular season matchup, you picked Ohio State, right?
It's possible.
I think you did. So you reverse jinxed me. I don't know who you must have picked Oregon in the Rose Bowl. So
Yeah. The Rose Bowl. It will take a lot to exercise that. I think it's a little like what Matt talks about with James Franklin, what he has to do to change the narrative. The Ohio State game, the Rose Bowl, will always be brought up anytime Oregon wins, loses, or faces a big game until they win one of equal magnitude.
So it is nice to see pressure on both, essentially, for the big game win, right? This is going to be a fantastic game Saturday night. I assume, are either one of you going to be at the game in person? You guys just going to be watching it from home? You going to be at a sports bar? Where are you checking it out?
I'll have 5 devices on and be watching it in the comfort of my living room.
Absolutely. Matt?
I think I'll be watching this one from one of the Penn State bars here in Chicago. I am bummed I am not in the temporary press box because the real press box felt like it was going to fall over during whiteouts, and I can't even imagine what the temporary one's going to feel like. So I am bummed I'm missing out on that.
Absolutely. Well, Dale, man, quick side note here. We are under 2 months until we make our trip to Eugene.
That's
Ducks
awesome.
and Gophers. We've got our tickets purchased. Ryan got us some good tickets. We each got our flights. We got a place to stay. We're ready to rock, man.
I'm really looking forward to that. I hope it's a meaningful game at that point. To me, it looks like the top half of the Big Ten is way better than we thought it would be. I mean, we knew it was going to be good, but I mean, there's some insane football being played. I mean, Indiana looks like a juggernaut. Michigan and Bryce Underwood are playing well. Washington looks good. USC looks good. I know it's just a preseason, but they're cranking out points and making plays at a rate that makes you think there are no gimmies in the top half of the Big Ten. Even, the quarterback at Rutgers, Kaliak Manis, man, that guy can throw the ball all over the lot. So there just aren't any gimmies on the schedule anymore.
Yep.
We've been trying to tell everybody for years the SEC is not that far ahead of the Big Ten, and maybe we can fully prove it this year.
Perhaps. Perchance. I got my own problems to deal with.
I tell
Anyway.
you, get no respect.
Yeah, right. Well, gentlemen, I think that's all we have for you. You guys are free to hang around if you want. Clinton's got his stuff that he wants to talk through, but if you guys don't want to listen to that, you guys are certainly welcome to get on out of here and get on with your evenings.
I'll say goodnight. I really appreciate visiting with you guys. Matt, it was nice to meet you. I'm looking
Dale,
forward
pleasure.
to this game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game and the rest of the season. I think it's going to be incredible.
As long
Me
we
as
get a
well,
good
Dale. I
one.
hope you enjoy watching the whiteout. It's a spectacle and a half, and I really do. The Oregon uniforms, do we know what they are yet, Dale? I saw we have glow-in-the-dark cleats, maybe? Do we have any details on that?
Only the cleats have been revealed. The speculation
Okay.
is they're going to come up with a stormtrooper white kind of look,
Very
kind
cool.
of try and take back the energy of the whiteout, if that were even possible. Matt, when do the students first start camping out? Is that the beginning of the week or
For
two?
Whiteout Week, yeah, for Whiteout Week, that is the 1 week of the year where they'll do it the full week in advance. Everything else, they start on Wednesday nights. So this is the week where they're camping out all week. Forecast doesn't look too bad. It looked kind of rough early, maybe shifting a little bit. 75 and sunny in central PA in late September. I'll tell you what, brother, you get lucky with that. I've been at whiteouts where it's first of all noon against Michigan in November, which is never fun. But I've been at whiteouts where it's cold and rainy too.
With everybody in just a white T-shirt. That's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. Yeah. Or the big white coat that covers your hunting jacket, with it being central Pennsylvania.
That's awesome.
All right, Mr. Dale. Thank
right,
you for
fellas.
joining us, sir. We appreciate your time. Matt, you as well. It's always good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by and talking with us tonight. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
You too, Matt. Thank you to our distinguished gentlemen who, once again, they're like, what, half a dozen times between each of them have been with us.
Mm-hmm.
Great dudes.
They
Love having them on.
fantastic gentlemen to donate their time to us. We greatly appreciate it. Ryan, I really have 2 things left for tonight. We got Roll-In Player of the Week, and you got to talk to the people about the new change with Battle Bets, man. Why don't you
This
go
is
ahead and
true.
start us with that?
Yeah, that's my bad. I just kind of usurped.
You're
you on
good.
that.
Let's get the Roll-In Player of the Week. So Roland, ITP Roll-In Player of the Week for Week 4. Damn, man, this is the 3rd time I've said this. Justice Haynes already had it once. He damn near got it twice, and he's damn near got it a 3rd time. But this week's Player of the Week, to help lighten Ryan's Irish heart, Jeremiah Love, 19 carries, 157 yards, 2 tutties with a long of 46 and an 8.3 per yard average. Fantastic game for Mr. Love. As you see, when Notre Dame can control the ball and run on the ground and then also have Jadarian Price take a 100-yard kick return to the house, they are much more efficient and harder to beat. So congratulations, Jeremiah Love. If you want a sticker and you listen to our podcast, we'll send you one.
Yeah, someone tweeted him. No. Clinton, I'm gonna throw out a hot take here. I'm gonna say if Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price combine for 6 touchdowns a game, Notre Dame will not lose a game the rest of the season.
Hey, listen, my bold prediction came true. Over 250 yards of total offense between them.
They
Got it.
by almost 100 yards. So everyone, we've been talking about our Battle Bets group, and if you have not joined it yet, you should. And exciting news for you all is you no longer have to be an iPhone purveyor to get the app because they have a desktop version now. If you want to join our group, you'll still have to kind of click on that initial link that we tweeted out. That's app.battlebets. Oh shit, I actually don't think I said that right at all. And I just pulled up a Danny DeVito gif and he's shaking his head at me. So Danny DeVito's telling me I got that wrong too. Hold on, let me find the link again. Battlebets.app/ITP. That's where you'll sign up for our league. But to make your bets, you can go onto your desktop browser or even just your browser on your phone. It is play.battlebets.app. Again, you can do the website if you're on your iPhone. You can still have the app with you're on your iPhone. That's going to be the easiest way to get to it. But you don't even have to. If you're on a flip phone, you're on an Android like Clinton, still stuck in 2009, Samsung Galaxy, whatever you got, you don't need iOS anymore to join the league. So once again, that link is play.battlebets.app. Join our group, bet against us. Even though we're 2 weeks into it, you can still accumulate points. Only the top half of finishers each week get points. So if you're really good at making wagers, then you can make them around pretty quickly. And it's kind of refresh, guys. We're halfway to 20. If we get 20, Battle Bets says committed to giving a $50 grand prize to the overall winner. If we get 40 people in the group, that goes up to $100. So join in, bet against us, prove you know more about football than me. Over the last couple of weeks, that's really not too hard because I've been sucking it up. But we're excited to keep going with this train this year. And it's been fun so far. It's been good.
And I was told to bring this up. It is not only free to enter, It is free to play. It is
It is
not
free to play.
your money.
You do
It
not
is
need to pay anything.
fake money.
There
You
is
sign up for
literally
free, you play for free.
there is literally no downside to you. No money. You don't
The
have
only
to.
upside is you get to brag that you beat Ryan because you guys won't beat me once I enter this.
Yeah, you don't. There's no like credit card information you need to enter. It's you, and you enter your email, you sign up for the app, and that's literally it. It's super easy. It took me 2 minutes to do it. If I can figure it out, you guys can figure it out. So we'll keep tweeting that out. I got to figure out some locks of the week because my locks of the week have been really bad the last few weeks. That's all for today. We'll be back with you guys Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time for our pick show. It is a doozy this week. We got the whiteout game. We got USC, Illinois. We got Indiana, Iowa. We got Notre Dame, Arkansas. We got some crazy, crazy games this weekend. It's going to be fun. You guys won't want to miss that. Make sure you're following the show on Instagram and Twitter at ITPCFB. That's the place you can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you can watch us live if you want. And as always, if you'd rather listen to us in your podcast feed at your leisure the following day or whenever, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your shows, subscribe to the show so you get notified as soon as the shows drop. We're at Inside the Pylon, a Midwest College Football podcast. While you're there, drop us a rating and a review if you feel so inclined. We would appreciate it. We love the feedback. If they're still listening at this point in the show, shout out to Sam's friends who did the Ragnar run with her this weekend, and she told them about the show, and apparently they some of them started listening and liked it. So thanks for listening, guys. I don't know any of your names, but tweet at us, leave us a review. We appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you all Thursday.